First and foremost, of course, I want to thank the Ford Foundation and especially Leonardo Burlamacchi, who have supported us for over the years. And they continue to support us, especially in the Institute's program on re-regulating the financial structure. My sincere thanks also go to my partner in crime. He has been co-organizing this conference, Jan Kregel. He's a senior scholar at the Levy Institute and a longtime friend, and he directs the Institute's research program on monetary policy and financial structure, which he inherited from Hyman Minsky in 1996. Every year we find that many more colleagues in the academy, the financial community, and the policy-making arena recognize Minsky's prescient contributions to economics that help us understand the workings of a sophisticated and finance-guided economy like our own. This year, we're holding the conference in Washington to make sure that Minsky's insights on the financial structure and its relationship to the real economy become better known to the policy-making constituency. The Levy Institute continues to sharpen its focus on strategic issues of economic policy relating to achieving financial stability, long-term growth, and high employment in a period of low inflation and, unfortunately, high unemployment and inequality, and decreasing public spending in basic research, research and development, education, and physical infrastructure. We continue our research, writings, and international activities on current monetary and fiscal policies in the US, Europe, and the rest of the world, the systemic risks and lack of significant progress in reforming the financial services sector, and the structure and organization of regulation in concert with the advances of financial innovation. The Levy Ford Foundation project on re-regulating financial markets and institutions offers policy proposals for reforming the financial structure drawing from Minsky's research and writings. Some of our publications are outside by the table. We invite you to take a look at them. It has been almost 4 years since the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform Act was passed, with struggle over its shape still ongoing. To our minds, Dodd-Frank is based on the idea that financial markets are normally stable, with the exceptional alarming event. The New Deal's Glass-Steagall Act and the Clinton-era Gramm-Leach-Bliley Modernization Act shared these assumptions. All these legislative corrections were conceived as system-wide overhauls. Dodd-Frank, in reality, was designed only to remedy random ad hoc crises like the 2008 financial meltdown that we all have come to know as a Minsky moment. Ironically, Hyman Minsky actually believed that these moments were anything but random or ad hoc. The increasingly risky practices that fuel danger and instability in our economic system are still happening and being rewarded, and if allowed to continue, will ultimately lead us to yet another financial crisis. Each new threat to stability is destined to be different than the last. Dodd-Frank aims at identifying the most vulnerable institutions and practices. This approach is too brittle to contain the disastrous effects of risks that are always morphing. Even constructive aspects of the Act can have perverse consequences unless the rules are subject to sophisticated and ongoing re-examination as the world of finance develops. Banks carry an urge to evolve in a way that maximizes revenue. We are frequently witnessing how quickly markets create newer, riskier, and more profitable instruments. It is the very nature of modern finance to transform its structure in response to the prevailing regulation and to evade it successfully. Under Dodd-Frank, banks continue to function more or less as they did in the past. Their enormous size and multifunction operations are subject only to trivial changes. The Act's most significant measure has been diluted, and many of its other regulations are tied in delays. Instead of fundamental changes that would cushion our fragile system from shocks, Dodd-Frank's centerpiece places a limit on the use of public funds to rescue failing banks. To be sure, it is an understandable response to the mega cost of TARP, which recapitalized insolvent financial institutions because they were interconnected while allowing failing and also interconnected households to fall into foreclosure. But limiting taxpayer exposure to the next bank breakdown is not the same as preventing a system-wide collapse from happening again. Glass-Steagall contained features worth preserving, but reviving an outdated and infeasible law will not help. Neither will blaming Gramm-Leach blindly, which, profound as it was, merely reflected the new status quo of its day. It institutionalized the changes that had already emerged in the markets. We need banks that can earn competitive rates of return while they focus not on big risks, but on financing capital development. We need reforms that limit profiting without producing, and instead promote enterprise and industry over speculation. They will have to be innovative, flexible, and also opportunistic as the markets they aim to improve. Minsky had proposed that the place to start would be for regulators to begin by breaking banks down into smaller units. Moreover, Minsky suggested different approaches to supervision and examination of banks. And as young Kriegel will detail in his contribution, Minsky articulated a framework of dynamic macroprudential regulation. A bank holding company structure with numerous types of subsidiaries, each one subject to strict limitations on the type of permitted activities, would be a valuable deterrent to risky behavior. Restrictions on size and function would allow a reasonable chance at understanding esoteric subsidiaries and an opportunity to react quickly to mutations. These reforms are necessarily absolutely, because as Minsky long argued, there is a complementarity between financial stability and economic growth and employment. He extended his work of financial fragility to include the exploration of policies that ensure full employment by shifting the emphasis from capital-intensive investment growth to investment in jobs as a means of ensuring both stability in consumption, which we know is the most important contributor to GDP growth, and an equitable income distribution. While private sector investment is crucial, government policy has little influence in stabilizing it. Stability of consumption, however, can be influenced by government policy that targets full employment, and Minsky proposed an employment policy that can ensure a level of full employment and thus stabilize consumption. Minsky argued that a direct, federally funded employment guarantee program, one providing a job opportunity to any individual willing and able to work, would act as an automatic economic stabilizer, enabling households to meet their financial commitments and substantially reduce the impact of financial shocks. The purpose of this year's conference will be to explore these issues and the linkages further. You may have undoubtedly noticed that outside that there is a new publication by Minsky. Those of you who perhaps have seen it. And it includes Minsky's previously published and unpublished papers on the subject of full employment. We invite your close scrutiny of this work, as well as our other published policy proposals, and we'll welcome your comments. Thank you very much for coming, and enjoy the conference.